expect the conversations to be substantively different with the Israeli government on this trip versus the last 3 times, given these priorities seem to be rather in line with the priorities of the
Our strategic priorities have remained the same since the outset, but we have different things that we are trying to accomplish on every trip. Even though our strategic priorities have changed, have remained the same. You've heard the secretary say, you've heard me say, you've heard the president say that we want to see the conflict we want to keep the conflict from expanding. We want to get more humanitarian assistance in. The different steps that need to be taken to achieve those change over time because the nature of the conflict changes and the nature of the situation on the ground changes. So while our strategic goals don't change, the things that we are trying to accomplish always do. I will also say that you will see us pushing additional steps on what Gaza should look like at the end of the conflict. That doesn't mean I'm going to talk about all those publicly. It doesn't mean we're going to talk about all of them publicly at the end of the trip. But we have been working very hard in this building, throughout the administration, and quietly with allies and partners in the region and throughout the world on what the day after ought to look like. Those are going to be some of the toughest conversations, of course, but we're ready to go pursue them.
Do you expect allies to be more receptive to these conversations now, given it's been several months? I mean, most of the Arab allies have said we don't want to discuss this until there's a path to.
You know, I don't want to speak for any other country. I'll speak for the United States, and what I'll say is that we think it's important to engage in those conversations now. We think it's important to engage some of the planning now, and that's what we plan to do over what we plan to continue to do over the next week.
And, you know, in past trips, the secretary has come out of it saying Israel has agreed to certain steps that he wouldn't elaborate. Do you feel that Israel has upheld its agreement to fulfill those steps on curbing civilian casualties, for example? I mean, from the outside, it looks like that has not passed.
We have seen them steps that they agreed to in our meetings. We've seen them take additional measures to deconflict sites, to make sure that civilian sites, or to try and ensure that civilian sites aren't targeted, to do more to allow Palestinians to move to safer areas inside Gaza. But the results continue to not match where the Israeli intentions are, and that's certainly something that we will talk about. And it's why, as I said in my opening comments, that one of the things the secretary will discuss are steps that we think that should be taken to further increase protections for civilians.
And then last one, on the Houthis, how concerned are you that these ongoing attacks are going to undermine the truce between Saudi and the Houthis in Yemen? What kind of discussions are being had to try to preserve that?
So we think that the ceasefire that is held in Yemen for some time was an important diplomatic achievement. It's something that we were that we thought it was important that the United States played a role in, and we continue to see it hold. But certainly the Houthi attacks are not helpful to to stability either in Yemen or anywhere in the region or in the world. So it's yet another reason why we'd encourage them to stop those attacks immediately. Olivia.